If you want to transform your life, the right mindsets are like jet fuel in your self improvement car. In this video, I want to share a mindset with you which not just made me unstoppable, but also happy and content in my self development journey. And the best part is, you can harness the power of this mindset right now, even if you feel like you're starting from ground zero. David Deida said, where a man's edge is located is less important than whether he is actually living his edge in truth rather than being lazy or deluded. And this line from his book, The Way of the Superior Man, is what this mindset that I'm talking about is based on. I'll get to its meaning and how it's different from the getting out of your comfort zone mindset in a minute. But before that, I've realized that there are some kind of people that I genuinely dislike, even hate. And it has nothing to do with where they are in life, whether they are rich or poor, fat or jacked, successful or a loser. It has more to do with this thing that I value highly: willingness. To understand this, let's take two people, A and B. They are both overweight and unhappy with where they're at. It's difficult and uncomfortable for A to take any action. So he decides to be passive about the problem and delude himself by engaging in escapist activities like social media, movies, or even worse, binge eating. It's also difficult for B to take action, but because he is willing, he decides to start with a 15 minutes walk. It's still super uncomfortable for him, and despite the willingness, there are some days that he cannot even get himself to do the 15-minute walk and ends up binge eating as well. Both A and B in these situations are quite similar. But it's my personal belief that willingness is the only thing one requires to change shit in their life. And because B has that, he shall keep going and despite his failures until he eventually and gradually gets back on track. Willingness is what makes us strive for mastery in our lives in every field and is intrinsically and closely related to the mindset that I'm advocating for, which is living at your edge. I'm a very competitive person and I used to see life as a race. So if person X is a millionaire by 27, I must be a millionaire by 26 to beat him in that race. But the thing I realized is, even if I end up becoming a millionaire by 26, there are people who are 23, 21, hell 17 who are millionaires. So if I see life as a race and put the condition of winning on my happiness, I end up living a not so happy life because there is always someone out there who's ahead of you in the race. It's just plain stupid. Thankfully, I realized it early on. The way I see life and progress these days is that I value movement over winning. Let me explain. Imagine this huge playing level field where everyone is present. Some people are moving, some people are moving at a faster pace ahead of them, and some people are stagnant. The only one thing that matters to me currently is that I am moving. The speed I am moving at and whether or not someone is ahead or behind me is irrelevant. So if we go back to willingness, it can be said that everyone who is moving is willing and everyone who is stagnant lacks willingness. But you know what? Just moving is not enough. And it does not encompass living at your edge mindset completely. What David means when he says edge is your limits or boundaries with respect to any area in your life. So for example, I can do 15 push-ups. So with respect to push-ups, my edge is 15. Living at your edge essentially means that you realize and acknowledge your limits and boundaries and you live ever so slightly out of it every day. So if you can do focused study for just an hour, that's your edge. And living out of that edge in this example would be studying for 1 hour and a minute. Now let me ask you this. How long can you do focused study or work for? Let's suppose your answer is 1 hour. Now my question is, can you do the same quality and amount of focused work consistently every day, 7 days a week? Or does it perhaps fluctuate? What's also interesting about your edge is that it's not fixed for all days. It depends on factors like energy levels, motivation, or your mood. What matters is that you live at your edge and not where your edge is located at any given day. On the days I'm feeling great, my edge would be doing a 45 minutes workout. But on the days perhaps when I wake up on the wrong side of the bed and I don't feel like working out at all, my edge would be just doing one push up. But on both days, I'll try to overdo ever so slightly for what feels to be my limit. So I might end up doing one more rep in each exercise in the 45 minutes workout, or on the day I'm feeling like just doing a push up, I might end up staying in the push up position for 10 seconds longer. Either ways, I'll be equally content with my days because I lived at my edge irrespective of where the edge was located. Now I can look at a guy lifting twice as heavy as me and feel unhappy even about the 45 minutes workout. But I realize and acknowledge that that is him living at his edge, and that life's not a competition. This can be equated and called similar to getting out of your comfort zone mindset. But this is why I think that is stupid advice. The out of your comfort zone is almost infinite, and the statement is as vague as it gets. Living at your edge is specific. You just barely stand outside your limit so that you feel stretched but not overburdened. Vagueness, they say, is the enemy of change. Speaking of vagueness, let's look at some practical steps to start adopting this mindset. Yeah, fuck it, I don't care at this point. If you have clicked on this video and watched till here, you by definition are someone who is willing, because it's not possible for an unwilling person to click on this video, much less reach till this point. So kudos on that. To start adopting this mindset, every time you're starting a task or even procrastinating on it, ask yourself this question: where is my edge this moment? If you answer this question honestly, it shouldn't be difficult for you to do the task at that edge. If suppose you want to start studying and you don't feel like studying at all, perhaps at that time your edge is just reading one line. As you start making this question a habit, you'll start noticing a very interesting thing. You'd be surprised how wrongly you estimate your edge and how often you can surpass way beyond it. So if you sat for studying and you aim to read just one line, you might end up realizing that you easily read a page and perhaps that was your edge, and now you're pushing beyond it and going for 2 pages. Once you've successfully adopted this mindset, you'll experience these two changes. A, you'll sleep like a baby at night knowing that you're giving your best every day. B, you'll become unstoppable because no matter where you're at, you're continuously moving ahead, even if it's a tiny step. And the pace you'll be moving at will be the most natural and sustainable by your standards and not by anyone else's. Living at the edge mindset combines beautifully with the system I developed using a Vedic theory to transform your life in 2 minutes a day. You can click here to watch that.